Well, Laurie Baker is the executive director of the Titusville Community Development Agencies, and she joins us this morning. Good morning, Laurie. Good to see you.
Good morning, Luke. Nice to be here.
It's great to see you. We caught up a little bit last week and had a great conversation, and things are just booming with you guys, and we thought we need to catch up on what's going on.
True.
What's been happening?
Well, there's a lot been happening down the Opportunity Park. We've got new tenants, and in Town Square we have new tenants. We're finally getting back to the point where we feel we were before the fire. It's taken a long time. The conference room is really busy, and we're looking forward to some new projects, which is kind of the reason I wanted to come here.
Well, that's fantastic. Today. Well, we were kind of talking during the break there. The momentum before the fire was, there was so much excitement and energy, and then the fire, and you kind of had to reset. And
yes,
so now, did. But the excitement didn't go away for you guys. The passion was still there to say, you know what, this is an important building to this community, and we need to make this happen. We need to keep this building, and kind of talk a little bit about that part of it.
That's very true. The public outreach from the fire was phenomenal. We had no idea. We were just overwhelmed at everyone that reached out and offered to help, and it was a very hard decision because the building was in bad shape. So we had to decide, are we going to tear it down, start over, or do we want to fix it? Well, part of the reason we decided to redo it is because it's a historic building. It's in the center of the downtown. We just didn't want to lose it. We didn't want to take that away from, the community. And then after we looked into it, it actually cost less to repair it than it would have to tear it down and build another building. Besides, you would have had a modern building, and I don't know how many stories we could have afforded, but it wouldn't have been 3. And now it's still only 3, but we did put the roof on the 3rd floor in a way that we can add the 4th floor.
Oh, wow.
If at some point we have the money and we can do that, we will do that. But that's quite a ways in the future.
Sure.
We still have a lot of work to do.
So there's still some hope for that number 4 on the elevator.
Yes, there is.
That is funny to step in there, but a good reminder for folks that that's not something that will never happen. It's just
true. It just will take a while. Although
I learned that.
I don't know if Renee would ever go up to the 4th floor again because she's kind of panicked about it. Can't say as I blame her.
And not a lot of folks get to revisit a project that soon. But it was an opportunity for you guys to take a look at the building. And I know when you do a renovation project to begin with, you always think, well, but if we could do it again, we could do this and do that. You guys actually had that chance to do that. So,
fortunately and unfortunately,
sure.
Yes, we did. And we found some things that, because it was an old building, needed fixed. And we wouldn't have noticed, if that hadn't happened. And
so it's actually a stronger building now than it was.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it is. Yes.
And the tenants, as you were saying, they're coming back, and it's great to step off the elevator and see, the signage for those folks who are working in the building.
Yeah, we're very excited. We just got one new tenant that had been there before, so that was very exciting. And
well, and when you talk to these folks right around the fire, they said, hey. As soon as the building's ready, we want to come back because they really like the space.
Yeah, it's a nice space. It's a beautiful space. It's right downtown. It's convenient.
Well, that's the main thing. It's so centrally located. Everyone knows where it is too.
And surprisingly, there is parking. You can park in the municipal parking lot and just cross the street and go in the back door. So that makes it very nice.
Well, if folks have an interest in putting an office space in there, they can certainly contact you guys.
They certainly can. We still have office spaces. We have some that are already finished, and we also have some very large rooms that aren't finished. And you can come in and say, we want an office here, an office there, and a reception area here, and we'll put the walls in, and it can be the way you want.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of attention, obviously, on Town Square, but as you were saying, the Opportunity Park is just booming. There's a lot of great things happening down there.
There is, yes. We just got, well, let me see, we got 2 new tenants, and one is Storybook Floors, and they just ran out of space where they were, so they come over to one of our great big new buildings, and it just amazes me every time we renovate one of those buildings. And I know this may sound weird, but I just love the cement. Because you go in there and look, and it's shiny, and it amazes me how they, and there's so much of it. I mean, it's a huge thing. So renovated that building, and he's happy. Still moving. It'll take a while.
Is it? I'm sure it never gets dull for you guys, but to watch somebody sort of live out their dream, or to create something. A lot of times you hear these stories of, this person started a business in their garage, or while each of those stories is different, it's amazing that the similarities are they started small and they had a product that was unique or well done, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow.
Luke speaks from personal experience. He started in the basement of the 1930s transmitter.
I believe that. But so funny that you would mention that, Luke, because our next project is the Thompson space. Now, that's something that we started, well, actually right before the fire. And we were working on a retail incubator. We had a couple public meetings for people who started in their basement and had a dream and wanted, to take the next step. So we're starting to do that again. And, right there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, and I have to say, one of the best kept secrets about Titusville area is the number of talented people. And quite often I tell this story. I'm sure you remember the Follies.
Yes.
Way back when they began, and they would hire a director. Mm-hmm. They hired a director. I believe he was out of New York City, and he was not happy about coming to little old Titusville.
Is this Coach Ed? Is that
No.
what they called him? No, is that what they called him?
Did they? I don't recall his name, to be honest with you, but I know he was very disgruntled, and he just was going through the motions and not happy. And then after we had tryouts and everyone started practicing and stuff, he turned around, and he was, very nice after that and working with us and happy to be there. And finally, he told us that he was just amazed at the talent here in Titusville compared to even larger cities. I don't think people realize how many talented people, we have in this area. And we want those talented people to come to our retail incubator.
So talk about this idea in the old Thompson space.
Well, you have a picture?
Do I? I might. We'll pull it up here.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Yes, it's a large space, and of course, it got damaged during the fire with water, so we had to totally gut it. Everything's out of there. And on the diagram there, this is what we hope to do. We want to make it look like it's outside. And if sort of like, well, in Tinesta, I think a lot of people are familiar with their outside little market.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it's going to be like, except inside. And we'll have you can see the 2 brick walks there, the walkways. And in the center of that, there's great big poles in the middle of Thompson's. They're, 13 inches across. They're quite large, but we're going to make street lights out of those. Those are going to become street lights.
Oh, wow.
Between the street lights is going to be shrubbery, and then park benches, or maybe we'll put picnic tables there. And in the back part will be a restaurant, and more like a breakfast lunch counter. I'm sure you remember how busy Thompson's used to be. We're hoping to recreate that, and it be a meeting place. Yeah, in the back there. And then there'll be tables and chairs. And not only will that be another place that you can get breakfast and lunch, it will bring people into Thompson's, and then they will see, what's in these little storefronts. The storefronts we plan, they'll be about 12 by 12, and they'll have false fronts on them. And we're hoping to make those look similar to some of the buildings in Titusville. So
That is pretty cool.
yeah.
How did the idea come about? Is anybody else doing this around the country, or?
And if you go on the internet, you can see a lot of pictures of. In fact, that's what we've done to get some ideas. So it's just we wanted to do something special with this space. It's too large, it seems, for one retail or two retail businesses. But this way, not only can we get several people in there, but we're economic development entities, and we wanted to help people. So we're envisioning them coming into these small spaces and growing. And so as they grow, then maybe they can go out into some of the empty storefronts, and perhaps two of them together. But that's our goal. We want to help.
This has been, these incubators have been a unique idea that have kind of taken hold. I think I saw them first. There were or are a couple actually in Franklin.
That's true.
The arts venue in Oil City is kind of like that, for artists, but there's efforts to do the same there. It's not a new idea, but what you're doing has such a new twist on it. You've taken the village marketplace in Titusville and brought it indoors. And that is so cool. It's just,
True.
Somebody stayed up all night to think about
Well,
that,
I don't know about that.
Well, now this is what Laurie has to work with right now.
Yes,
So.
yes, I wanted people to see that. It's a little more cleaned out now, but you can see the brick wall there, and that will remain.
That's
We'll
beautiful.
leave that brick, and there's the pillars there with the paint peeling down, and it's exciting though.
But you have a now structurally sound,
Yes.
ready to go space.
Yes.
In that picture, it was basically at some point past shovel ready. You were, in a spot where it was almost ready to start.
Yes, we're ready to start anytime. All we need is money.
That's always the case, isn't it?
It is.
8:22. This is the Morning Drill on Stream Television, Armstrong, and the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. So, what would be the next step for this? You mentioned money. Is it going after grants?
Yes, I will be putting in a grant for this, and I have talked to the people at the state, and they know I'm going to be doing that. But we need the public support, which is why we're having the public meeting on May 31st at the Town Square in the conference room for anyone that's interested, in putting their business in one of these little shops.
Laura, I'm sure when the state gets that phone call from you guys, they're like, "Oh no, Titusville's on the phone again." But I've also heard that you guys, with the track record of being very successful with the projects that you do, and how you use the money you receive. And first of all, you're a very good grant writer. But you take that concept and match it with the ideas. It's easy for the state to look at what you guys are doing and say, yeah, of course we're going to help you out with this. This sounds fantastic.
Let's hope so, Luke.
Yeah.
No, we try very, very hard to do exactly what we tell the state we're going to do in the way we tell them we're going to do it. And that's what they need. They approved the project, so they want to see it.
So the meeting on the 31st is really a chance for folks to come out and begin that conversation and to try to learn what maybe those community needs are.
Right, to see if this is something that they're interested, that they want to do. And, we'll probably go down and look at the space so they'll get an idea of what we're talking about. And we just need to be supported in this. We can't do it ourselves.
One of the things that strikes me is not only the uniqueness of the idea of bringing this village market indoors, it's also very indicative of the idea recently that there's a lot of more homegrown businesses coming home to roost, in a small downtown area. We've seen the era of shopping malls kind of come and go, big box stores kind of come and go. I mean, they're all still there, but I mean the fad idea has kind of come and gone with all of that. And now the idea is folks are bringing their entrepreneurial ideas into town, and these niche markets and niche opportunities are bringing people in to do some very unique shopping, among other things. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we thought. And like I said before, there's so many talented people in this area that I can't even begin to imagine what type of businesses may be interested, because it's lots of times things you never think of.
Sure, and it doesn't just have to be Titusville people. I mean, if you're watching this or listening to us in Meadville, Franklin, Oil City, and
Absolutely.
maybe you're thinking of expanding a business, or maybe you have an idea to start a business, this might be a really good way to get that those ideas flowing and to get an idea of testing the waters a little bit on how a business would work. You're also talking about a couple anchor stores to kind of surround this incubator space with, right? With the Blue Canoe and with the Oars Brewing.
Right.
Those are pretty big tourist attractions.
Yes, they are, and hopefully that will enter into people being interested in coming to the Thompson space. We're very fortunate to have both of those businesses, and they're both doing very well too. That it took us quite a while. Everyone was so concerned about getting the Blue Canoe up and running, and finally we did that. And like I said, they're doing really, really well. And Oars Brewery is also doing well.
Yeah, that's great. I tell you what, when you're driving downtown at night and you see life and activity in that corner, it's amazing. And the other thing I think about, and you know this very well, how much the perception of that space has changed over 20, 30 years, from the elevator to nowhere to to the outpouring of support to fix the building and to keep it there. I mean, that had to be pretty emotional for you to witness all of that.
Yes, I'm the old person there.
Well, and I don't mean to for it to
That's
sound that way.
Loop. That's okay. But yeah, I was there in the beginning, and it was heart-wrenching is the only word to see that burn, but it's so exhilarating to see it come back to life. And that's what we're trying to do with the Thompson space too. But yeah, the elevator to nowhere, we lived with that for a long time.
Yeah, well, it's great to see the turnaround.
It goes someplace now.
Well, yeah, and it's great to see that turnaround of support where this has become such a treasure to the community.
Well, it's so good that people can see and put their hands on things that are actually taking shape and say that's happening.
Yeah.
We've heard in the past, that when you undertake a project, sometimes you put in all the stuff underground and in the walls and stuff, and nobody sees that.
True.
And it's only when people start to see the walls and the buildings and, the lights get turned on do they actually pay attention sometimes.
Seems that's that way at the Opportunity Park. You don't know how many people say, there's no new businesses, they never do anything. And I'm like, well, have you ever been to the Opportunity Park? And they usually will say, what's that?
Yeah.
So, there's so many businesses down there, and it's thriving, but
and employing a lot of people down there.
Oh, absolutely. It's over 300 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other, I think, misconception, too, is the structure of the Titusville Community Development Foundation. Or, see, I just did it, the Community Development Agency. So talk a little bit about that, Laurie, just the structure.
Okay, now, Luke's put a circle up there, and above that circle, actually, it says Titusville Community Development Agencies. We've had that name for... a long time, for over 25 years. And it's what we are, not who we are. It's just the name of all of the organizations. Now, in the diagram there, in the center, it says Titusville Community Development Services. That's the administrative staff that we work for. Everyone works for that entity, and then they pay all the bills, and the time that we're allotted to each of the other entities, then they get the money from each entity. That's how that works. I guess I should explain how it came about. We, of course, were the Titusville Redevelopment Authority and Titusville Industrial Fund. That's TIFI and TRA, as people know them, has been around for a long time. And the Redevelopment Authority was doing all the projects. which was really more than a redevelopment authority does. Plus, some of the grants that we needed were for a 501c3 nonprofit, which the redevelopment authority is not. So we wanted to work on enhancing the downtown, which that's the name came, Enhanced Titusville. And it's a 501c3 for downtown. And if anyone's familiar with how you get, that tax status of a 501c3, you have to explain what you're going to do. So when you explain what you're going to do, we were going to work in the downtown. And so when we came up with something for businesses that needed a 501c3, that didn't work. So there we were. It's like, okay, so now we need a 501c3 for businesses, which that is Titusville Economic Development Corporation. We call that TEDCO. That has to do with business outreach or any grants that we would seek, to help a business expand or something like that. So then, actually before that, and it was actually before the fire, we found out that there was people who wanted to donate to Titusville, but they wanted to see what their donations were doing. They wanted projects. So we developed the Greater Titusville Development Foundation. And that was up and running just a little while before the fire, and how wonderful, too, because we were able to use that to help people that, that were affected by the fire. And so people could donate and get a tax deduction. So that came about. And then, of course, we already had Titusville Industrial Fund. Once we created all these entities, it was a question of, well, who do we work for? How does that work? And that's when the Titusville Community Development Services came into being. And of course, we went through our lawyer, and it's actually a legal thing that the Services Corporation, what they do is they do administrative services for other entities, and that's what we needed. So all of these entities are Titusville Community Development Agencies. So if you call us that, you're right.
And we'll
No
stick
matter
with
what,
that.
no matter what we're doing, if you call us that, that's what we're doing. But
Well, Laurie, good to see you this morning. Please come back. See, that was a quick segment.
Yeah,
We need to have
hey.
you back.
Oh.
Learn more.
I can do that.
All right,
You've
excellent.
been very kind, Luke.
All right, Laurie, thank you so much. News is
Thank
coming
you.
up.